Okay, so we're going to talk about something we've never talked about before, which I think could be something very, very profound for the new year. Anyone like to hear something profound this morning?
Yeah.
You can tell me then if you thought it was profound or not. So we're going to talk about something you may or may not have heard before, but it is personally what I believe one of the biggest drivers to success. So what do you think one of the biggest drivers to success is? So what are some things you believe could be a driver for your success or other people? Let's yell it out.
Happiness.
Happiness, great. Attitude, yeah, definitely. PMA, desire, yes. Work ethic, definitely. These are all good things. And if you're wondering, if you hear something good, you should write it down, right? What else? Caring, yes. Your thoughts, yeah. Your thoughts lead you, actions lead you, results, yes. Beautiful. What else? What else? Discipline, oh, big one, right? And most people think you got to be disciplined in all areas. You've got to really just discipline in one or two, right? And then, you know, making it a habit, which is key. Okay, what else? Anyone on Zoom want to yell out something?
Consistency.
Consistency, absolutely, absolutely. Would you like to hear what I feel is the biggest driver to success?
Yes, please.
Would you guys like to know? It's kind of weak. I mean, I think we should just end the training here. I'll come back in the new year. Who would like to know? Who would like to know? Okay. She's being dramatic. All right. Emotional intelligence. This is what I believe. Really? Oh, Blair heard it yesterday. Emotional intelligence is what I believe is one of the greatest drivers to success. It's not nothing we've ever quantified before or taught before, but it's definitely something that's been coming up in our lives lately. When you're most challenged and most tested, this is definitely an area. I'm really only going to go over the basics today, but it is something I want you to note and put in your perspective for the new year. Right? I'm going to break it down into a few things, take some action steps, but just know that emotional intelligence is one of the major factors in our success. It's one of them, a major factors. So this may or may not be a new concept for you, but what do you feel emotional intelligence is? So what's your understanding of emotional intelligence? Right? What would you say? So have a shot at it. Yeah, go ahead, please. Yeah, I'll repeat for Zoom to keep it fast.
Somebody that can control their emotions.
I can say something.
So someone that can control their emotions instead of reacting. Awesome. Good. D6 clap. Go ahead, Andrew. Oh, Dan. Was it Dan? Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, that was me.
Okay, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, so I mean, especially when it comes to sales, like you can have the perfect pitch, you can have, all of the sales skills, but the emotional intelligence is your ability to read the situation, read your client's body language, be able to not overreact if they're giving you an objection. It's kind of like that intuition that you kind of build up over time that allows you to kind of read people a little bit differently.
Yeah, absolutely. It's through the repetition that you're able to be calm and then actually be present with someone, know what's going on. Yeah, absolutely. Really, really beautiful, articulated answer. D6 clap. What? Being able to connect with any type of personality. Yeah, awesome. So being able to read someone, and whether it's kinesthetic, visual, or auditory, speaking in their language, or if you know the colors of salespeople, that would be another one. Okay, D6 clap. Take Uramas, one more on Zoom maybe, or in Calgary. What's your belief for emotional intelligence in Cowtown? Calgary, Stampeders, Flamers.
Well, for me, it would be really being able to, when you have a win, not to be overly excited and more excite yourself on the nose so you can be very stable and not a roller coaster of life.
Yeah, okay, great. Yeah, that's a good one. D6 clap. Sammy B.
Ability to not take things personally.
Oh yeah, I know the ability not to take things personally. Yeah, awesome, great. D6 clap. I'll give you a really simple definition. To be calm in a storm. To be calm in a storm, in any storm, would be a better definition. To be calm in any storm. That's emotional intelligence, right? to be calm in any storm, any situation, any environment, and be able to be calm. Because what happens when you're in an environment that you're not prepared for? What happens if you go to a sales presentation and it's your first time? What happens if you're in a scenario where someone gives you an objection and you don't know what to do? What happens to your emotion? It goes really what? And then even if you're a Harvard graduate, you have an IQ of 2 billion, right? You're someone who's like prepared, knows everything inside and out. Does not matter. When your emotion goes high, what happens to your intelligence? And then when you start acting weird, what happens to their emotion? It goes what? Yeah, and then their intelligence goes, and you guys know what I'm about to say. Then you have two idiots trying to have a conversation. Who knows exactly what I'm talking about, right? Emotional intelligence is your ability, right, to be wise beyond your years, right? There's people like Paige who has an emotional intelligence. Like if you equated age to wisdom, right, I would say she's got the emotional intelligence of a 50 or 60-year-old mentally, because of her ability to be calm in a storm, her ability not to take things personal, her ability to react. That's what I do enjoy working with her, because even at what some would think is an age that you don't have wisdom, she's wise beyond her years, right? That's emotional intelligence. And Blair's attesting into it. He's seen it, right? This is the biggest driver. It doesn't matter if you're a millennial. It doesn't matter if you're a boomer. It doesn't matter if you're a Gen Xer, marketing to either. This is the difference, right? And usually, at least my perspective, that's all we're doing today, right? Usually, it's because they've been through a lot of shit. That's where you gain emotional intelligence, right? It's not something that comes natural. It's something when you go through the worst of circumstances, when you tackle things that no one is willing to tackle, when you're in moments and situations that most people shy away from, and you go all in, you jump 2 feet in, that's how you gain emotional intelligence. It's not something that comes, okay, like intelligence, IQ, it's not something that's just there. It's something you have to create. It's something you have to seek. It's something you have to go after. How many of you understand what I'm saying? Like, hey, let's go through some scenarios. In your life, right, where have you experienced emotional intelligence, or where have you seen someone with a lot of emotional intelligence? So where are some situations, or in your life, past, present, future, that you believe you've seen it, it's created, you've seen people that are wise beyond their years? What's some examples for you? So just yell it out today. We'll keep it fast. What's some examples of where you've seen emotional intelligence? I mean, yourself or others? Trump. Okay, Trump. I think she's being funny. That's funny. One less agent here. Oh, go. What? So yes, go ahead.
A lawyer will need to keep calm in court.
A lawyer, yeah, emotional intelligence, right? Yeah, so they have to be calm in court. So a great lawyer versus a average lawyer has a high emotional intelligence. That's a great thing. They could have just passed the bar or whatever the lawyers, but that is definitely one good example. Yep.
Has to be a firefighter. So
Firefighter, right? Okay, awesome, great.
Like my child is in that house.
Yeah, my child is so in the house. Yep, yeah,
You have to convince them that
yeah.
it's unbelievable how your abilities change.
Yeah.
Like you don't even know that you are capable
Yep.
of dealing with those situations if you are committed to that.
Yeah, how many of you realize that if someone's asking you to save their child a life, that's a pretty area that you're going to need a lot of emotional intelligence? Awesome. Let's give them both D6 one clap. Is this okay for you guys at Zoom, or do you want me to pass the mic around? I'll pass the mic around.
Can you do the mic?
Oh, well, it might be broken now. Is it on, mate?
Oh, my God.
Oh, mic drop.
Okay. That didn't hit my head, by the way. So
Yeah.
Okay, emotional intelligence. I've seen it in pastors, as shepherds of people, where they're dealing from everything from funerals to marriage breakups and they're a stabilizing force, somebody that's a rock that you can go to, and they'll give you sound advice based on principles that are solid.
Yep. Okay, great. Awesome. Good. D6 one clap. We'll go back to Audrey. Fun, we'll keep that there.
Cops.
Someone on Zoom wants to share. Cops. Yeah.
Situation. It's not always fun.
Great. D6 one clap. So insurance. Insurance people. Or
I think
D6
anytime you deal
agents.
with people, you
Anytime you deal with people. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Sammy B. And if you're on Zoom, just unmute and chit chat.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, anytime you're dealing with people, like, you're getting objections or you get into an argument with somebody, your ability to just kind of calm yourself if somebody starts yelling at you for whatever reason, to take a moment to just kind of think about your response before just immediately reacting and knowing that it's not about you, it's about them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and kids being a great example. Awesome. D6 one clap. So emotional intelligence based on, over to Teresa, based on what we're hearing, we're hearing firemen, police, pastors, moms, right? Is it something that comes natural, or is it something they learn? Both. Okay. All right. That's a good argument. But if you had to choose out of the two, would you say it's something learned or something that you just naturally have? Yeah. I believe it's a learned skill. That's my perspective. Both, probably, yes, I would agree.
Because I agree that it's intuition. A lot
Yeah.
of it is intuition.
Yeah.
But you don't have the mother intuition, Archie.
Yeah, I don't have the mother intuition. I have the dad one. But specifically in those scenarios, we're talking about a policeman, fireman, pastor, right? In those ones, it's a learned.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's learned, right? It's learned because they do what? Practice, drill, rehearse. PDR. That's how you create emotional intelligence. Right? We talked about it last week on Monday. We talked about handling objections. Why? So you have great emotional intelligence in any situation. How many of you, question, litmus test, right? Don't have to engage, just hand up, hand down. How many of you practiced handling objections at least once since Monday? So hands up if you did, right? Okay, couple. This is the biggest driver to succeed, and that's a skill that's going to help you succeed. Hey, for the new year, tackle it like you're tackling your business. Tackle it with the same intensity that you work. Tackle your emotional intelligence, because I've been speaking with Mark a lot about this, and the reality is you can sell out to combine. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to create for the rest of your life. You can, or you could just say, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go do something else. Or you could say, I'm going to sell out to me. I'm going to throw everything I've got at growing myself, mastering the people game, mastering the 6 inches between my two ears, and then combined is my playground. That's how I monetize my learnings. That's how I create an income. That's my vehicle, but this is my platform. Does that make sense? And I think this is what we say, but we've never really painted the picture of what this truly is and what it could be for you. Because emotional intelligence is the thing that you learn in any economy, any situation, any business. You have this, you will win.
My best friend who passed away a number of years ago, she and I did a lot of crisis management and different things. And just in hearing Sam speak, I just wanted to share the gift she gave me at a very young age. And it was the powers in the calm. And no matter what was going on, to just say that and get to your calm, because that's where the power in any situation is. When someone's ranting, screaming, whatever, anything, the powers, they're giving up their power to you if you can keep your calm in any situation. So I just wanted to give that gift. And for those of you who are taking notes, it's the power in the calm.
Yeah. Who actually, we mentioned, I don't know if it translated through Zoom, but I mentioned there was a video about bullying. And there was a little, like a girl, 14-year-old with a speaker, and he said, hey, she threw insults at him, and then he would respond through an insult, right? And then the name of the game was could he get her to stop? And then he couldn't, by responding negative with negative, right? But then when he did positive, they did it again. And she's like, you're a jerk, you're this, you're that. He says, thank you. I appreciate you. You're smart. You're so intuitive. And he threw positive versus negative. Guess what happened? She couldn't respond, right? This is what we're talking about. Your ability to be calm in a situation. Monica.
I used to run relationship workshops, and one of the things that I taught was, and this is from like Gottman's, they'll take married couples and they'll put them into a lab and put a heart rate monitor on them. Mm-hmm. So if your heart rate goes above, and I can't remember, it's either 78 or 85 beats per minute, that's where emotionally you're like wired. And if you're having a fight with your spouse, walk away for 20 minutes, calm down, and then come back and re-engage, right? Because you need to get your heartbeat down so that you actually have your intelligence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so she's saying, scientifically speaking,
yes,
you're when your heart rate's up, you're emotionally not, you're intelligently not sound. So knowing how to regulate that. It's a really great point. Thank you for sharing. Let's give her a round of applause. It's a really good point. Now, there is something that we're going to go over technical stuff. Actually, is there anyone on Zoom or in Calgary that would like to share something? Love to get some shares from the Cowtowners. No.
RJ, it's Melissa.
Hi, Melissa.
Hi. Something just with what you're talking about totally reminds me of Peaks, because Wizard Training Camp is like all about staying calm amidst the storm.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great course. So it's a camp where they lock you up for 5 days in the middle of nowhere. Well, no, but for sure. And then you learn about how to attract things in your life, right? That's one way of growing your emotional intelligence, is pursuing personal development courses. It's definitely something we've done over these. Thanks, Melissa. D6 1 clap. This is not something that you just have. This is something you what? Learn. You learn. You learn. You create it. You focus on it. One of my best pieces of advice, this is personal, take it, leave it, is something we talk about in the office. And it's something that I believe in my own relationship and myself. That's code of honor. Code of honor is the greatest asset, technical asset you can have in emotional intelligence. Why? Why is emotional
Self-accountability.
Self-accountability? Yeah, that's right. What else? Standards. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Something to work towards. Absolutely. But when you're in the heat, where's your emotions? Or when you're in the heat of a moment, whether it be an objection, whether it be an argument, whether your emotions where? And then where's your intelligence?
No.
But if you have a piece of paper that you designed when you were like not, your emotion was low and your intelligence high, you can always go back to it. Because when you're emotional, you're trying to make a decision, right? And it's not going to work. Like the person that taught me this is Blair Singer. So who has his book, Little Voice Mastery? Okay, who does not? Okay, please message me and say you want the book. I have like cupboards and cupboards and cupboards of it. It's one of my favorite books. It's actually how to. No, we do have cupboards of it. we actually have. It's designed for emotional intelligence, right? It's little tricks and strategies. But he taught me code of honor. And he was hiking Mount Kilimanjaro with his son, right? So he's actually done with my sister, a bunch of my mates. It's something he does every year. And he has a code of honor. And his code of honor is family first, right? Then he says his mission, his business mission, right? And then he has his other stack of personal, I don't know who is unmuted, but it's a bit distracting. So I'm going to mute everyone again. Over here's these. And then that way we can keep going. Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, so he was up hiking Mount Kilimanjaro with his son. And it was the first time that he was doing it, right? Now, his son got really, he got altitude sickness. And he's been talking about this. This is the first time he ever did it. He's done it a few times since then. He's been talking about it, wanting it, telling people about it, leading people because he wanted to test his code of honor, his theory, his what he teaches, but in a physical environment. And his son got super, super sick, right? And I remember when we were talking about this story, and he got so sick that he couldn't go up the mountain. So he had a choice. Do I go down the mountain with my son, and this thing I've been talking about for the last 10 years, I give up on, or do I keep going? Now, I know some mums in the room are logically,
Not even a choice.
it's not even a choice, right? Right? But remember, where's his emotion? It's really where? And where's his intelligence? It doesn't matter who you are, where you've been, what you've done. Everyone goes through this, right? But eventually he was like, wait a second, I have a code of honor for this. He looked at it, it's family first. I had a choice. And I said, I'm going back down the mountain with my son. That was a very profound moment for him. I remember him telling me the story. It was just us on the phone. And he gave me goose pimples, giving me goose pimples again. Because this is what we're talking about. It's our lives. And you have to have a code of honor, not just in our environment, but also in your relationships and also for yourself, right? Because that allows you to have more intelligence in any situation because you have something to go back on. We always talk about our relationship, Sam and I, and it's like we feel like we've been married 100+ years, right?
Wow.
Yeah. No, but we talk, not this because we're old, right? But because, and there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. Not even because we're wiser, right? Someone called us, we got called a young couple the other day, and Sam's like, thanks. But the reason why is because we've been through everything together. We went through near bankruptcy together. We went through just pure everything going wrong together, trying to pursue her dreams, my dreams, coming together way before we experience any level of success. But always just a few things. It's like, never going to bed angry, right? There's no out clause, right? There's no out clause. That's just who we are. That's probably our biggest one, right?
There's out clause.
Out clause.
Okay.
Out of the relationship. Can't leave. Most people, I think someone got married around the same time as Dana did, and they're already divorced, right? That's not a thing. It's no out clause, right? We have to always, put the kids above our own needs, but we always have to put each other's needs above that. We're not just the kids, but just after, because we have to take care of yourselves to have a great relationship, not just each other. Why I'm sharing this with you is because it allows us to have a better communication even when things aren't going our way. And I can tell you from personal experience, we've been tested more over the last few months than we have in the last few years. And I can tell you from personal experience that our relationship is just growing stronger, even in all that conflict, because we have an understanding, an agreement, a conversation that allows us to have a deeper and more enriched emotional intelligence with each other. Yeah, you're going to add something?
Well, I was gonna say,
Just even, Mike.
just a quick
Oh,
comment.
sorry.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. If you're going to make a quick comment, I'll throw the
They say the perfect marriage is two imperfect people who never give up on each other.
What was that?
The perfect marriage is two imperfect people who never give up on each other.
Yeah, that's a great one. Let's give that a big round of applause. You guys get what we're saying? You understand? Cool. Take a minute at your tables. What's come up for you so far this morning in terms of emotional intelligence? So what's come up for you? Just talking with your partner from Gratitude Today and on Zoom, I'll share with you guys. So what's come up for you? And then Calgary, mute away and have a chitty chat. So Janelle, you love to go and we love to hear. What's come up for you so far today, mate?
I know. Ken's the same way.
Janelle's MIA, Andrew, Frankie, Melissa, Dennis, who would like to share something on Zoom. What's come up for them so far this morning? Ginny, Julie, Shannon, Brenda. Test. Yep.
Hi. Hi.
Yeah. Hey.
Oh, with the emotional intelligence, sometimes I think that you have it, but it's just like using it and being in those situations that help you better your emotional intelligence. You know what I mean?
It's like sometimes you think you got it and then sometimes you don't, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
It's not something that just is like, okay, I've got this and then it's got it forever. It's something you continually work on.
Yeah, exactly.
Great observation and good self-realization. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and same with the handling objections. Like it's just doing them to get better at them. You know what I mean?
I'll take one more on Zoom.
Okay, well that's
30 more seconds. 30 more seconds. One more on Zoom. Okay, we'll keep it there. Okay, start finishing up. That's something you and Dad talk about. I understand. I wouldn't have that conversation with my dad. It'd be weird. It'd be interesting though to have it. Maybe I'll bring that up for Christmas. Okay. And stop. Thank your partner. Give him a high five. Say, I love to have great EI. EI, emotional intelligence. That's what it stands for. Say IQ, EI, right? That's funny. Okay. So there are 5 steps to a great emotional intelligence. There's self-awareness. What's the first one? Right, that's definitely something Mark's super passionate about. It's one of his biggest value points. Motivation, not just motivation, but like self-motivation, driving yourself. So the second one's what? Okay, it is in a TV. I can see when you're not talking. So what's the second one? That's right. 1, 2, 3, go. Beauty. All right. Empathy, right? The ability to empathize, not sympathize, right? So the third one's what? Beautiful. And then the fourth one, I think it's more people skills, but also social skills. So what's that one? And cool. The last one is, all right, let's go into it. So self-awareness. The self-awareness is the ability to take an honest look at your life, okay, an honest look at your life without any attachment to it, being right or wrong, good or bad. Okay, I definitely would write that down for yourself, right? Self-awareness is the ability to take an honest look at your life without any attachment to it being right or wrong, good or bad. Has anyone had something amazing happen to them so far this year? Like just phenomenal, right? Paige got hired with D6. Best experience ever. But what about you? Who's had something amazing happen to them so far this year? Just, you know, head nod, hand up. Head nod, hand up. Who's had something amazing so far this year? Yes? No, just, I just want to know. Yes, okay. So, awesome.
Now we're all in.
Later on, Karen will be saying in the front of the room, sharing with everyone what her amazing win was. Okay, has anyone had anyone have something horrendous happen to them this year? Something difficult to go through, a major challenge. Has anyone had a major challenge, at least one, so far this year? No, you don't have to. You don't have to say what it was. I think someone should take Karen out for a beverage or two later on. She seems very hesitant to share anything today.
Yeah, I can share.
Yep.
I can share.
Oh, I wasn't asking. It was just more just have you had something?
Never mind then. She won't share anymore.
Karen kept asking, do I have to say it out loud? Both times. Hence the hilarity. No, I wasn't. I'm not asking in this section. I'll prompt you in. Just for time's sake. It's not. Just for time's sake. So, self-awareness is the ability to take an honest look at your life. So, there are people that have bad years. Anyone know people that have bad years, right? Okay. Anyone know people have bad months, bad weeks, bad days? Who's had a bad day? Right. So what self-awareness is when you have a win, when successful people have a win, when people that are charging the hill, making life happen, when they have a win, they celebrate, right? They might celebrate for an hour, a day, a week, a month, or a year. But when you do that, it's the law of polarity. There's up or what? Down, left hand, night hand, right? So if you celebrate that hard, then you also, what? Crash that hard. So someone that celebrates for a year, most likely when things don't go their way, they might have a bad year, right? When someone's who's learning, they might have a good month and a bad month, right? Good week and a bad week. It goes back and forth. At least in my world, the people I've spoken to, the people that I follow, typically, if something goes amazing, they'll celebrate for an hour. Like just an hour of crazy, awesome celebration. But when they have something bad happen, they do it for an hour. They soak in it. They let it fester. They whatever, right? I haven't gotten to that point. I'm good day, bad day, right? So something goes our way. I'm like, ah! Like running around the house and the kids are chasing me. That's usually the good. Then the bad is like in the corner. I got the doona over me. It's like, Mark's not here. We're gonna watch some Netflix, right? So I'm just honest, right? That's self-awareness, right? To know that when you're charging the hill, it's gonna happen. But the more that you can adjust, celebrate it, and also let it go, otherwise it turns into controlling your life. If you let emotion take over, it controls your life. That's where you have bad days, bad weeks, bad months, bad years. And if you get that much soaked into it, your perception becomes your reality. So just know that on this path, you have to learn to adjust. You have to learn to stop being so hard on yourself, right? Why? Why stop being so hard on yourself? Because you're out there doing something most people would never do. No, most people don't pick up a book. Most people don't listen to self-growth. Most people don't show up to a training and have it self-reflect on them. Like, how many of you realize that sometimes you come to a training and you're just, okay, I've got to go in today. And then you get there and something deep happens and you're like, oh my God, I got to change my life, right? Like that kind of stuff happens, right? But it's because you're on a journey to want more. And when you want more, you have to what? Become more. And when you have to become more, that's where your emotional intelligence is tested. Okay, so the first step is learning. Self-awareness and awareness, which is your ability to adjust hour to hour, day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year. If it makes sense, say, oh yeah? Yeah. Some of you just thought about your bad years, therefore you're having a little bit of a moment. But let's try and pivot into the training. So if you got something from self-awareness, say, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Beauty. All right. Motivation. This one's easy-ish. It's easy to understand, not easy to do. Probably be a better way of saying it. If you're waiting till you feel like it, quotes, it will never happen. Okay? Don't stop when you are tired. Stop when you are what? Done. Don't stop till you're tired. Wait till you're done. Wait till you're done. It's interesting because, we're talking in the leadership room how we need to really keep our trainings tighter so we have that time to practice, right? It's like, oh, I'll practice next week. I'll practice tomorrow. I think in the new year, based on what your leaders are saying, we need to create the culture where we stick around and we get it done before we go. It's like, well, I don't feel like sticking around. I want to go home and curl up into the duvet. Is it duvet or doona here? I call it doona. You guys call it duvet. Duvet. Snuggle up in the duvet, watch Netflix, right? Netflix, the membership that inspires you to sit on your ass. The key with this is you, before you leave, get it done. Before you leave, grab someone and go, practice handling objections for 10 minutes. Go bust out those calls that you've been wanting to do, right? Instead of waiting and then having it nag at your head. Go do the action first. Then go home and celebrate and take it easy. Don't you wait till you feel like it, because you never feel like it. How many of you ever just been sitting there on the couch? I'm really giving Netflix a bad rap today. Just watching a movie, and in the middle of the movie, you're like, it's time to change my life. No, depends on the movie, I guess. And then actually do something. Probably not, right? There you go. After I finish the movie, the next movie, wow. But it doesn't just strike you. It's something you have to do, right? That's the biggest thing with motivation. You can listen to something, watch something, be at a training. Here's the reality. If you don't take action from the training, from the video, from something, it'll never have a long-term effect in your life, right? So it's a motivation. You get motivated, get inspired, but you must take what? Must take what? Action. Turn to your neighbor, give him a high five, say, I'm an Action Jackson. Plug. And say, turn to your other neighbor, give him a high five, say, I'm going to go to the Max. They're my son's names, Jackson and Max. Plug. Empathy. This is the third one. Empathy is different from sympathy. So sympathy is where you get involved in someone's emotion. Empathy is relating to someone's emotion, right? Big difference. Empathy is about standing in someone else's shoes, understanding their perspective. It's about finding echoes of another person in yourself. This is really, 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 really important when you're talking about handling objections, when you're talking about building rapport, when you're talking about being a business that's all about people, and you don't want to get dragged down by other people's emotion, yet you want to relate to them so that you can have a conversation. That's the difference between sympathy and empathy, because sometimes I think we get confused that someone's going through a lot of stuff, and then you just get caught up into it because you want to relate to them, and it kind of drags you down, right? So it's the ability to recognize yourself in them, but then maybe share a different perspective on how they can get out of it, how you can solve their problem, how you can relate. Does that make sense? For time's sake, I'm going to keep busting through. Next one is people skills. Sorry. Are you good now? She's finished? You can take pictures, by the way. Being recorded. Yeah, it's being recorded. So next one is people skills. Mark and I have actually decided to start a podcast, and we're doing it on our brand. I was talking to the Calgary team about it. So I told you guys what my brand is. Anyone know what it is? Laughing Banana. Why banana? Because I was on stage once. I said banana. I said go bananas. And they say, you say it funny. And then it became a thing. Laughing because I lead better in business when I'm having fun. So Laughing Banana. I named it at Wizard Camp because Melissa pointed that out, right? And then Mark was really hard to find. Like we were like saying Culture King, like untouchable dude that does things like, so he ended up settling on Maverick. Why? Because he gets results, he drives culture, yet somehow he's like very, very difficult to read, and he always stands out. So where our podcast is going to be called the Maverick and Laughing Banana Show, and it's all about mastering the people game. I believe the one skill you can learn in the emotional intelligence realm is people skills. And when you master the people game, the skill of the people game, you can be successful in anything. So marry those two concepts together. Emotional intelligence is internal. People game, people skills is external, right? You do those two things, you'll be unstoppable. We don't live in a vacuum or work in isolation, right? Unless you're an investor. And that's just for yourself, because otherwise if you're investing for other people, you have to speak to them, right? Even in this high-paced tech world, we are always communicating. Always. We're more connected than ever, and everyone's more lonely than ever because we're all sitting on a couch watching Netflix. So what we need to do is get up off our couches, and like she's been saying today, she's been reconnecting with people she hasn't spoken to in 5-10 years. Karen says, I love that part of this career. Enjoy it. Learn to get better at it. Because when you do that, it increases your emotional intelligence so you can have real conversations. Last one, self-regulation. Self-regulation, there's always a challenge, but if someone's going to be in charge, it might as well be you. So what does that mean? Yeah, you are your own boss of your own destiny. A lot of people go to a workplace, have someone tell them what to do. Why? Because they don't know what to do, so they might as well have someone else tell them what to do. That's not how we do things here. Okay, that is probably the biggest, uniquest thing about our district, right? And we're growing, right? There are other districts that just, they say, person does. I'm the boss, you're my peon, go to work, right? That's the world that we live in, and that's what some people crave. But here, we do it every morning, and I hope you do it after every appointment, and I hope you do it at least once a day. Debrief. It's the biggest thing you can do on a practical level that can drive your life. What worked in that appointment? Okay, 5 to 10 things, just so you guys understand the questions. What worked in that appointment? 5 to 10 things. What worked in my day today? 5 to 10 things. For 90 days I think it was 2 years ago, we said, let's do that with our relationship. You want to have a self-regulation in your relationship? What worked in the way that I loved you today? 5 to 10 things. And he's like, she's like, this really worked. I'm like, really? But you don't know unless you're self-regulating, right? What didn't work? 1 or 2 things. Why? Because it's easy to go off on a tangent on all the things that don't work, isn't it? So let's keep it to 1 or 2 major things. And if you always say, well, nothing didn't work, then I would argue, then why aren't you retired sitting on a beach somewhere? There's always something that didn't work if you're honest with yourself. And it's not to be bad at yourself. It's just to learn, right? That's all. Even when you get a sale, what 1 or 2 things I could have done better, right, for next time, right? So what are 1 or 2 things that didn't work? Last one, what can I do better? That's where I was leading. So what didn't work and why? What can I do better? What can I do better for next time? That's it. 1 question. What's 1 thing I can implement better in my next appointment? What's 1 thing I can implement better in my next day? What's 1 thing I can do better? Who's in a relationship, has a spouse? Do this with your spouse. What's 1 thing better I could do to love you tomorrow? It's a deep question. Like, I don't know. Well, if you did know, what would you say? I use that on her all the time. You know, we don't get off, there's no maybes in our household. Self-regulation. This is how you curb that path to success. A new year is coming. You believe it?
Yeah.
A new year is coming.
Crazy.
It's time to really make this coming year not just a new year, but a new what? New you. Like, how many of you have aspirations to, leverage Combine as a vehicle to create enough residual passive income by taking the cash flow, investing in other things, so that you can not have to work, right? Anyone have that desire, passion? They want that in their lives? Hello? Hello?
Hello.
So do you feel to, have $1 million in income, or have $1 million in assets, or to have whatever your goal is coming in through the vehicles that you've invested into, do you feel you would have to be a little different for that to happen? Hello?
Yes.
Because otherwise you would what? You would have it. So in 2018, we want you to use Combine as a vehicle. We want you to leverage each other, to hold each other accountable to the greatness through our code of honor of what you can become. But, and the biggest key to that is also getting married to the fact that for all of that to happen, you have to become better. Wherever you're at. Some of you, maybe it's not that far a gap. Some of you, maybe there's a bit of a bigger gap. Don't wish for it to be easier. Go become better. That's what emotional intelligence can do for your life, the people that you inspire in it, and the people that follow you in business. But remember, a very smart man once said, He's the Einstein of today. One of the drivers of Tesla, Solar City, SpaceX. Who's watched his TED Talk? Elon Musk. Okay, who hasn't watched his TED Talk? Okay, who's going to go watch his TED Talk? Okay, it's an interview in Vancouver. Highly recommend it. He says 2% of his time, he's building 2%. He runs his day at 5 minutes by 5 minutes, right? I'm not saying his personal views or anything. I'm just saying on his business acumen. He's an engineer. He's well thought out. He does what he does best. That's what Elon's good at. He's building an underground car system in LA, where it'll take the car, park it, go down, and then shoot them at 200 kilometers an hour to where any destination will be all automated. 2% of his time he's doing that. It's just crazy. So do you know what he says about business? Would you guys have said this before? Do you remember?
He says, find a product that the public wants to support you and wants you to succeed.
Let's actually, do you want a micer? Yep, that's okay.
He said, align yourself with products that the general public want you to succeed. They love your products. They want you to succeed. They want to see the company grow.
Yeah.
From a public point of view.
Awesome. Yeah, it's good. And we have that here, do we not? D6-1 clap. Try again. D6-1 clap. Beauty. That's what he also says. Every business starts flawed. Every business starts flawed. And don't think of just business. Think of building yourself as a business. What we're talking to you about now is the reason I say Laughing Banana, the reason Mark says Maverick, the reason why Anne-Marie is saying Adventure Mom, the reason Audrey might pick up the brand we're seeing of the Lady of Danger, right? The date. No, what? That's what it is. Well, whichever. Whatever you decide on is your brand, your persona, so that you can be represented in a conversation, right? It will start forward. It will not be easy. It will fail. Things won't go your way. This is a fact. So if you're treating yourself like a business, know that it's not going to come easy. But we don't do it because it's easy. We do it because it's hard so that we can become better and create the rest of our life to be what? Easy. This is the journey we're on in 2018. It's not a year for District 6. Yes, that will happen. By working together, by supporting each other. It's a year to define who you really are and what you truly want to go create in the world over the next 10 and 20 years. 2018 is where we make that year a clutch year, a year that is a shift in everything and anything that you want to accomplish. 2018 is where we're going to bring everything that we possibly have as people so we can all grow together and go create yourself to be a brand, yourself to be a business, and combines just a vehicle that you monetize.